Whoa. Got the cat here. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games and board gamey things. I am here today with another preview video, and today's preview is going to be on PDX from Waterworks Games, who very kindly sponsored today's video. Now, as per usual with my preview videos, this is not an official how to play. This is just an overview to help you figure out whether or not this game is a good fit for you. If it is a good fit for you, if you feel that that is true, then I'm going to have all the links, everything you need to know is going to be in the description below. This game is going to be live on crowdfunding on February the 24th. Once again, link in the description. So a few other things to note. This is a prototype copy of the game. Everything that you see, including rules, is of course subject to change. But with all that being said, I say we dive in and learn a little bit more about PDX. Shall we? We shall. Whee! Oh, I forgot to turn on my lights. Oh no! Welcome to PDX, a strategic airport building game where you take on the role of an airline competing to become Portland's favorite. Over the course of the game, you'll expand your airline by reserving and assigning destinations, upgrading gates, opening offices, leasing planes, and launching ad campaigns, all in pursuit of the most points. PDX plays from 1 to 4 players, takes about 15 minutes per player, and blends route building, worker placement, and engine building into a highly interactive system. Destinations are the primary source of points, but how you support those routes through infrastructure, flights, and advertising is where the real strategy lives. Now, what does any of that mean? I'm so glad you asked. Let's take a closer look at how the game works. So to start, here is the spread. Here is the board spread out. We have kind of like the main terminal here, and then each player is going to have their own personal player board. For today's example, we are set up for a 2-player game. The main thing that's going to change with different player counts is how many tiles and how many of these ad campaigns and how many of these extra gates are all going to be available for your game, essentially. All right, so we have in a 2-player game, we've got airplanes. We have small, medium, and large, and these are, you're going to have essentially a set per player. So these are kind of laid out in a random order along the runway here. This is our terminal where we're going to take actions. We've got lots of different destinations that we are going to be going to. These are our ad campaigns over here. Now we also have offices. So these are terminal offices. Terminal, yes. I was like, is that the right word? It is. And these are the office supply where we can actually have a different type of office versus the terminal, which are going to give us a few more options for actions. Each player will have 2 of these kind of suitcases. They're going to have one of these little duders, and then you're going to have your own board. Your board will have 3 gates. They'll have spaces for your destinations. You'll also have a little storage area here for all of your activities and your different types of resources that you're getting. And we also have here our hangar, which can hold 2 planes. Okay, so that's kind of the general layout. Now, at a high level, PDX is about building efficient routes and using planes and suitcases to multiply your actions. You'll begin the game with 3 short haul gates, which are identified here on your player board: 1, 2, 3, D1, D2, D3. And like I've already mentioned, you'll get a worker, 2 suitcases, and you'll also get 1 wild service token. The wild service tokens can be used in place of any of the other types of service tokens. The game is played over a series of turns, and every turn follows the same 5 phases, which are outlined here on your handy dandy reference card, which we love. So we have land planes, reclaim suitcases, move worker, schedule flights, and then we also have a cleanup phase at the end. We also do have some anytime actions, which we'll get to in a little bit. Let's start by talking about landing planes, and to do this, maybe I'll set up a little bit of an example over here on the red board. So I am going to we're going to slide this up a little bit. I'm going to put this here. I'll put this here, and we'll put this here. Okay. So let's just say this is what we have available. We'll just say this is what we have on our land plains phase. You're not really going to be able to do this on your first turn, but we'll go through it now anyway. Each scheduled plane will move one destination down its route. So if we have this small plane here, or short haul plane, I should say, this is its scheduled route. It's already kind of en route. Okay, so you'll move it down one. So we're able to do this right now because the short haul can go the distance that is one dot on these destinations. For 2, you need a medium plane, and for 3, you need a long haul flight plane, one of these big boys, okay? But we would be able to do this with our small plane, or a short haul plane. So you move down 1. When a plane lands on a destination, you will gain 1 service token shown on that tile. In this case, there's just 1 type, but as you can see, as we get to some of those longer hauls, there's more options. So in this instance, I would gain one of these brown resources, service tokens. If it's an activity destination, you also gain the activity token. If it's an action destination with a gray bottom, you may optionally take that action. And luckily, I've got both here as an example. So let's just move our plane, and maybe I'll move these over. So there's kind of, besides the haul length or the flight length of the destinations, we have some here that have a solid gray bottom, and then we have some here that have kind of like a chevron pattern. The tiles with the chevron pattern are known as activity destinations. So when you go here, you're also going to gain that activity token. And in this case, it would be, oh, they're over here. I was like, where did I put them? They're over here. You'd gain the matching token here. So just so these should technically be in here in our storage, okay? Because we only have 6 storage spots. You can't have more than that at the end of your turn during cleanup. You'll figure that out. We'll get there. Anyways, so you're going to put that into your storage. This is an activity destination. We're going to need these activity tokens to do ad campaigns, but once again, we'll get to that later. The solid bottom are action destinations, and these give you some kind of an action that you can take. In this instance, you'll notice it kind of matches here. This is telling you that you can reserve another destination tile. When you do that, you just simply put it down here in your destination reservation area. Okay, so that's how that works. You're going to move down 1, and then you're going to do whatever it is. Now, if the plane was already on that final destination and it needs to move down 1 more, kind of flying off the route, that means that it's done. The route is done. So what you're going to do is return that plane to the end of the runway, which is up here at the top of the board. All right. So that's the first thing we do. We land our planes. And if you have multiple planes, you will do that for each of your gates, so long as you have all of the conditions that allow. The next thing that you can do is reclaim suitcases. Now, this is optional. You don't have to do it, but if you want to do it, you can. So you can reclaim any suitcases that you've placed on previous turns. When you reclaim a suitcase, you immediately take the action or gain the token shown on that office. Suitcases act like extra workers, essentially, but they're delayed actions that you're going to set up ahead of time. Now, we're going to talk about how you actually get those suitcases out later. And once again, this is something that you're probably not going to do on your first turn because you're not going to have suitcases out. But if you wanted to reclaim one, like let's say I wanted to reclaim this suitcase, it's just going to go back on my player board into my suitcase section, and then I'm going to take whatever that action is on that office, and in which case this one would be to reserve a destination tile. Then next thing we're going to do is move your worker. Remember, we each have our little worker. High five. Pachow. Okay. Now you're going to move your worker to either a terminal office to take one of the core actions, which are as follows: reserve a destination, build, lease a plane, or launch an ad campaign. I will also mention this one also has that little suitcase icon, which is what allows you to put out a suitcase. Or you can choose to go to a service office where you gain service tokens and place a suitcase for a future turn. Now, these tiles are office tiles that we're going to be putting out throughout the game. They can get put out up here above the board, or they can even get put out up here above your board. So if I didn't really want to take any of these and I wanted to place my worker over here because maybe I wanted these types of things, well, I'm going to be able to do that instead. Now, some offices are going to allow you to place a suitcase when you visit them, helping you to plan ahead, which are these kind of service tiles here. You're also going to get to collect the 2 different service tokens from that service tile. Okay, so if I went here, I could place out one of my suitcases. I could get a blue and a brown service token like this, and maybe I want to place my suitcase here like that. The next thing that we're going to do is schedule flights. After your worker action, you may schedule flights, which means moving planes from your hangar into matching sized gates. So that is kind of an important thing before we get into that. This action right here is how we are going to lease planes. So you're going to get to take the planes that are at the front of the runway and put them in your hangar. So once again, you can only hold 2 by the end of your turn, so you're going to have to be able to assign them. So in this step, you're going to move planes from your hangar onto the matching size gates. Now, right now, I only have short haul gates. So something that you're going to be able to do, and this is with that build action over here, is you can upgrade your gates. So we'll see here, I could upgrade with a medium, and then with a medium, eventually you can upgrade to a large. That's going to help you get to different destinations. And I will also mention on the destination tiles, there's a certain amount of points. So obviously, closer destination, short haul, lower points. So the points are right here, medium, higher, and then a long haul flight will be much higher. Each route can only have 1 plane flying at a time. So let's just say, where did my little fella go? Okay. Let's just say I had this here and I upgraded this. I couldn't then, let me just grab a medium one. If I had a medium one here, I couldn't then put that here because there's already a plane flying along that route. I would have to assign it to another area where it can be held, such as here. And it's also important to know that you can only have a maximum of 3 destinations in each kind of route. So if I added 1 more here, that would be it. The final phase is the cleanup phase. So if you exceed your storage capacity for tokens or planes, you're going to discard down to your capacity. Your turn will then end and play will continue clockwise. Now, another thing to note that throughout the game, you can also take anytime actions, which will include assigning destinations by paying service tokens. So let me show you. We've kind of done this a few times. I'm like, hey, you can reserve a destination. So if I had MCO, which is Orlando, an airport I'm very familiar with because of Disney World, if I had MCO, I could assign that destination by paying the service tokens. This one needs a red and a blue. I don't have a red, but I do have a wild, so I could pay both of these back to the supply in order to put out this destination tile. Another thing that you can do is you can rearrange routes. So we'll do this to give you an example. Your routes can be rearranged to kind of help you fly better, help you get to places easier. This is not the greatest example, but just so you know, you can't rearrange any locked routes. Now, a locked route is any destination that has a plane currently on it or above it, right here, or below, above or below, this one. So because I've already traveled here, now I'm here, I could rearrange this one if I wanted to, or I could rearrange the other ones, so long as they're not locked locations. If you don't think that it makes enough sense for that flight, you can cancel your flight. You can cancel your flight by paying a service token and taking the airplane and putting it back to the runway. Now, a few of the actions we didn't talk about that you can kind of take when you're going to the terminal. Let's just put all this stuff back. So I did mention build, and I mentioned that you can upgrade your plane that way, but you can also build an additional gate, which is going to give you another gate that you can put a route on and a couple of extra storage slots. And then the other thing you could do with the build action is to open one of these office supplies, and you can do that, like I've already mentioned, above your board or above the main board. The other action that we haven't really talked about here is to launch an ad campaign. So we've got 3 ad campaigns available to us in a 2-player game. How you're going to do that is you actually need to pay the activity tokens that are listed at the bottom of that ad campaign. So right now we obviously only have one ad campaign. We only have 1 activity token, so we couldn't do any of this. However, if we also had this soccer ball here, we can do the game on because we have both of them, okay? So you're gonna have to pay your activity tokens back to the supply, and then you get to take this, which is going to be points at the end of the game, 7 points, and then we're just going to refill. The game will end when 3 destination stacks in the market are empty, and just for reference, in a 2-player game, there's 4 tiles in each of those stacks. Players will finish the round, so everyone has taken the same number of turns, and then scoring will begin. So let's talk a little bit about scoring. You're going to score points from your assigned destination tiles, from your launched ad campaigns, your private offices based on matching services shown on your destinations. The player with the most points wins. In the case of a tie, the player with the most destination tiles will win. Okay? So pretty straightforward, and of course it does come with a nice little scoring pad, which we love to see. So that, my friends, is PDX in a nutshell. Like I said, this is not a full how to play. So if you're interested in learning more in-depth details about how this game works, definitely check out their Kickstarter campaign. Once again, it's linked below. Now your question might be, who is this game for? PDX is ideal for players who enjoy route building games where efficiency really matters. Also, if you like worker placement with timing puzzles, because remember, we do have these suitcases that we can kind of put out to trigger later if we're kind of planning ahead. If you enjoy games where actions kind of snowball through clever sequencing, then this is a great fit for you. It's a mid-weight strategy game, and it gives you meaningful choices without overwhelming complexity. The suitcase system rewards foresight, and planes create satisfying payoff moments, and competition over destinations and offices keeps interaction high. PDX also includes a solo mode where you face off against Tyler, an automated airline executive that pressures the game pace and scoring. If you enjoy games that feel smart, thematic, and highly tactical, especially ones that reward optimizing routes and actions, well, PDX delivers a smooth, thoughtful experience that scales beautifully from solo all the way up to 4 players. All right, my friends, if any of that sounds like something you might be interested in, once again, links, everything you need to know will be listed in the description below, so definitely go and check it out. But that is everything that I have for today. Now, if you're interested in buying board games, remember, we're going to Kickstarter for this one, but other games, you should first start by checking out your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that's a Boardroom Game Cafe, and soon to be the Cozy Gall Hobby and Game Cafe. You love to see it. That's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe. I hope to see you again soon. And now I say goodbye. Bye. Safe flights. Happy travels.